Today, we're going to talk about how to make people like you instantly. If you don't know how to do this, then you'll miss out on a lot of opportunities in every area of your life. You'll have a hard time making friends, attracting a quality partner, and advancing in your career. That being said, I want to share with you the exact same process that I've used to connect with others very quickly. Tip number 1 is to open up more. If you're wondering how to be likable right away, stop trying so hard to be perfect. The reality is, we all have flaws and things that we're insecure about. That's why we relate to people's struggles so much better. Think about it. Do you feel closer to someone who just brags about their accomplishments and only talks about themselves? You don't, right? In fact, instead of being impressed, you were probably rolling your eyes because you were so annoyed. Personally, I've met people like that, and I do my best to avoid them at all costs. Ironically, the more vulnerable you are, the more charismatic you'll come across. Contrary to all the curated content that you see on social media, nobody has it all together all the time. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying you should air out your dirty laundry and dump your emotional baggage on others. There's a big difference between being vulnerable and sharing too much information. So how do you do it? My advice for you is to open up incrementally. The next time you talk to someone, take the lead and share a small secret about yourself with them. Ideally, this would be something that you've already overcome and that the other person can relate to as well. If not, then you'll make them feel awkward because they won't know how to respond to you. For example, I was chatting with someone recently who's been wanting to lose weight. But instead of giving him unsolicited advice, I just listened. I wanted him to go deeper and tell me the reason why he wanted to get in shape. He told me that he got turned down by someone that he was interested in because of his appearance. And that totally sucks since I actually knew what that felt like. At that point, I figured that it would be okay for me to share with him that I used to be overweight myself. At 5'5", I tipped a scale of 200 pounds and had a 36-inch waist back in high school. Because of how I look, girls weren't necessarily all over me. Other guys weren't all that excited to invite me to their parties as well. As a result, I felt left out and unwanted. I even pulled out my phone to show him an old picture of me because he wouldn't believe me. Immediately, I noticed his eyes light up because he felt understood. Can you see how powerful this is? That being said, if you're not used to opening up, this can be pretty scary. You risk the chance of getting rejected while sharing something that's personal to you. But if you do, you'll bond with others very quickly and deepen your connection with them. Tip number 2 is to avoid using social scripts. First of all, there's nothing wrong with making small talk. In fact, it's something that you need to do in order to build rapport with others. By exchanging polite pleasantries early on in your interactions, people get to warm up to you. But if you want to create more meaningful connections with others, you have to be able to get past that. You won't be able to get to know someone if you just talk about the weather or what traffic was like earlier that day, right? In fact, this was something that I used to struggle with. Growing up in a traditional Asian family, I was conditioned to focus on my academics above everything else. That's why my parents discouraged me from going out too much when I was younger. They wanted me to just stay at home so I wouldn't get distracted and I have more time to study. I knew that they had good intentions, so I followed their advice blindly. That's why I spent most of my time face down reading books and doing practice exams. Sure, I did get good grades and ended up in a high-paying job after I graduated. So in that sense, their advice worked. But even though I was successful professionally, I still struggled to interact with people. Because I didn't know how to get past small talk, my interactions felt shallow and transactional. If you can relate to that and you want to fix this issue, do your best to avoid using social scripts. Instead, think outside of the box and try to ask more interesting questions. For example, instead of asking someone how they're doing, you can ask them what's been the most interesting part of their day. Instead of asking them what they do for work, ask them if they have a passion project that they're working on. Instead of asking them what they do for fun, ask them what's a skill that they've always wanted to develop. Do you see how that works? Not only do these questions sound more engaging, but they also make for a more stimulating interaction. Before you go out and socialize with others, I encourage you to memorize and ask a handful of these questions. By doing so, you'll be able to get to know whoever you interact with much better and on a more personal level. To help you out, I made a free cheat sheet that will show you how to approach and talk to anybody. You can download a free copy by going to socialconfidencemastery.com. That link is also available in the description below. Tip number 3 is to be more thoughtful. Do you know someone who only reaches out to you when they need something? They'll call to ask if you can help them move, pick them up from the airport, and even lend them money. It's annoying, isn't it? It seems like you're in a one-sided friendship and you can't help but feel used. You're the one who's usually giving and the other person is just always taking. In fact, I used to know someone like that. He would only hit me up whenever he needed a favor. Naturally, as a friend, I would help him out. But whenever I'd ask him to hang out and do something, he's usually busy or unavailable. Needless to say, I stopped contacting him. Keep in mind that a relationship is like a bank account. You have to deposit more than you withdraw. If you want to make people like you instantly, you have to be more thoughtful. Put in the effort to consistently add value to your network. For example, be the first one to reach out to your connections to see how they're doing. If they ask, you can give them advice on something that you know a lot about. At the very least, you can be there for others if they need emotional support. I know doing these things sound like a lot of work, but that's like anything in life, right? Keep in mind that everything worthwhile takes time, money, and energy. Not to mention, very few people are willing to take the initiative and keep in touch with their connections. That's why you'll stand out very quickly and become more memorable when you do. By being thoughtful and adding value to your network over time, you'll have more loyal friends. As a result, you'll have people be there for you whenever you need something in the future. Tip number 4 is to be a good listener. Last time I was in New York, I got connected with a very successful entrepreneur. He's in the tech space and he's doing quite well for himself. He has a membership at the Soho House in the meatpacking district and he brought me in as a guest. And I definitely appreciated his generosity. But as we kept interacting, I started to lose interest in him. Even though we were in a great venue surrounded by interesting people, I couldn't wait to leave. So what happened? Well, this guy just didn't know how to listen. In fact, whenever I share something, he would always glance at his phone. To me, it came across like the notifications that he was getting were more important than the conversation that we were having. At that point, it didn't matter who he was or what he's accomplished. Because of the way he treated me, I felt invisible and insignificant. As the saying goes, people will forget what you did for them, but they'll always remember how you made them feel. That being said, if you want more people to like you, you have to practice being a good listener. I mean, just think about it. Imagine how good it feels when someone is truly paying attention to you. It feels pretty awesome, right? This is especially true these days because most people are so addicted to their smartphones and social media. Keep in mind that we all have an innate desire to feel important. That's why we like people who pay attention to us. In order to have a more magnetic personality, be genuinely curious about others. Remind yourself that everyone you interact with has their own life experiences and unique perspectives. They're probably good at something that you're not. That being said, do your best to adopt the student mindset during your interactions. Humble yourself, keep an open mind, and approach every conversation eager to learn something new. By doing so, you'll make whoever you interact with feel more seen, heard, and understood. As a result, people will leave the interaction with a positive impression of you, and they'll look forward to seeing you again. Tip number 5 is to develop a sense of humor. At the end of the day, you'll discourage a lot of people from hanging out with you if you're not fun to be with. It's difficult to be around someone who's so serious all the time. It's just too intense and can feel emotionally heavy. In fact, this is an issue that I see a lot with our clients in our social skills coaching program. Most of them have careers in tech and are paid to think analytically. As a result, they're always so serious and logical, which doesn't really make for an interesting interaction. If this sounds like you probably have a hard time loosening up because you're always in your head. But if you want people to like you, you need to become more playful. Keep in mind that learning how to be funny is a skill that can be developed. When you know how to make people laugh, you become a source of positive emotions. You'll be able to lighten up the mood in any situation. As a result, whoever you're with will feel good when they're around you. To help you get started, you need to think more creatively. One of the best ways to do this is to take an improv class. By doing so, you'll learn how to stop overthinking and you'll become more spontaneous as well. By the way, if you're tired of struggling socially and you want to learn more about our social skills coaching program, I'd love to connect with you. Book your free consultation today by going to socialconfidencemastery.com. The link is also available in the description below. If you want to learn how to make others laugh, then make sure you watch this next video. That's where I share with you the 5 jokes that make people like you instantly. By the end of it, you'll improve your sense of humor even more, so make sure you check it out.